Hi, my name is Mark Kelso, and I'm an artist from Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to talk briefly about compositions and how you can create a focus with your compositions to get the eye of the viewer to be led into a specific location and to remain there, and then how to allow the eye to move around the composition and yet work its way back to the focal point. It's not uncommon for paintings sometimes to get too busy, for the primary focal point to get lost amidst all of the rest of the composition. So I'm going to talk about a few things that you can do to allow yourself to get that focal point really the primary central aspect of the painting. Now what I've got is just a little sketch right here of a scene in front of me, which is a stream that leads back into the distance. And there's a lot of foliage that's going on around the stream and even behind it. So this could be a composition that in a painting that would turn out to be very busy, visually busy, and it could detract from what I'm particularly interested in, which is the lead line of the stream that leads back into this curve. And this location right here is my primary focal point, just a little bit left of the center. So what I've done in this sketch to help me emphasize this particular point is utilize some of the lines that are created by the forms of the trees. And as you can see, I've got a strong diagonal that runs a little bit above this corner right to the primary focal point. I've got a few diagonal lines that lead from this upper section. The eye might catch this tree and come down to this point. I've also got a couple diagonals that step back. So we go from foreground to middle ground towards the background. 1, 2, 3, all leading back in this direction. So compositionally, these are elements within the design that help the viewer to follow the line of the stream right back to the area that I want to focus on. Now once I start painting, I'm going to be utilizing some dark shadows that are in this area, and as I proceed a little bit further out from that focal point, I'm potentially going to lighten up some of my shadows and my highlights so the contrasts aren't quite as strong. And that way, high contrast is another way that you can draw the eye to a particular area. We're going to use that high contrast in these areas with strong lights in the reflections of the water, strong shadows in the trees and in the grasses right in this area to pull the eye in. And I may also soften some edges around the border. Another thing that causes the eye to be drawn in are hard edges. And so I may keep the edges fairly crisp around these little bits of water and these little shadow areas in here. And as I get out to the shrubbery here in the foreground and some of these trees in the middle ground and even in the background around the edges, I'm probably going to soften up my edges quite a bit in each of these elements so the eye doesn't linger on these subjects around the focal point, but again pass by it and move right to it. And one final thing that I might mention is the use of color. And again, I can do something similar in the way that I had my shadows and my edges. I can ease up a little bit on the strength of the color in certain areas around the perimeters, and once again have high contrasts of color and strong colors that take place in the focal point. So we've talked about how value contrast can pull you in, color contrast can pull you in, and how linear elements in your design can pull you in. And all of those are things that you can incorporate and combine to help draw the viewer's eye to where you want in the composition.